this one was community driven, right?
Absolutely.
Jen Filzen sent us this little clip on TikTok that is going to lead off the segment. So I'm going to share this with y'all. We can watch it right now, and then we'll get to react to it.
Love it.
49 seconds.
In 16 years, your daughter will not be able to buy a house. It will not be affordable for her to buy a house unless you help her. I would argue that it is a better business decision. It is a better financial decision for you to buy a house for her. It's an investment property. It's a rental property. All of the money that comes from that goes into an account, and that is her college, number one. And number two, that house is being paid for by somebody else. So then when she is 22 years old, graduated from college, you can say, here, sweetheart, here is the home that you will never, ever have been able to afford if I had not bought it for you 16 years ago. And I'm telling you right now, that is the best financial decision. Rather than going to 529, whatever that thing is, college fund, that is complete and total bull.
I agree with that.
I'm telling you right now, going ahead and buying a house as an investment, that is the best thing that you can do for your children.
And I'm not selling anything I own because...
No, I wish I'd kept everything I ever bought.
Let's break down that clip, GC.
Gosh.
A lot of good stuff there.
A lot of good stuff there.
A lot of good stuff. All right. I'm going to break this clip down into 3 segments. One is, does it make sense to buy a home as a rental property as a college fund? 2, what they said is the 529 BS. Yeah. We'll call that. And 3, this idea, both of them are just like, I'm not selling anything I've ever owned, right? Let's kind of break it down into that. So let's talk about the idea of buying a rental home as a college fund. What do you think of that?
I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. It dovetails so perfectly into our methodology here, our Not Your Average Investor Show methodology of making an investment, especially in real estate and rental properties. And you're doing that for the long haul, right? This is an investment. Typically, if you're planning for college, many of you are doing it 10, 15, 18 years in advance of when that money actually needs to be there. And what's a full market cycle in rental properties?
10 to 20 years.
10 to 20 years. So it dovetails so perfectly into owning rental properties, because when you own for a full market cycle, that's when you really win with all 5 profit centers. So yes, it's a wonderful choice. It is not something that people think a lot of. When people are starting to do their college planning, they start to think of 529, they start to think of prepaid college funds. That's pretty much it. Nobody thinks about rental properties, but they should, and we can go through some of the other differences in what 529 is and whatnot, but it absolutely, if it hasn't been an idea that you have thought of, you definitely should consider it.
So let's talk about the dynamics of it all, right? If somebody was to do this, you have a child. They're going to go to college, and let's call it 17 years. Let's say you're setting this up when they're 1.
Okay.
Is that average?
Sounds good.
Is it kind of when you get your wife?
I think that's when I did.
I've never had a kid.
For me, the first child that I had, my life was just completely different for like a year or 2. So I don't think I set up my college planning for my daughter until she was probably 2.
Okay.
And my second kid, he got it earlier because I knew what to do. But.
Yeah. So let's go with first kid, right? So
Okay.
16 years away. By the time they go to college, right? Like right now we're looking at homes that have positive cash flow, but it's not life-changing positive cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the kid goes to college, are we talking about them having a cash allowance based on a home for them to live on, or are we talking about paying off college education with a rental property?
You could go either way. I mean, I think for most people, they're talking about paying off that tuition, having that money to pay the tuition.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should probably put it in that context here, because most people are thinking, I'm going to put some money into a 529 plan or in the stock market somewhere. I'm going to put it in at this amount, and in the next 16 years, it's going to grow to this amount. And then I'm going to take that out and then pay tuition.
Got it.